Last time we looked at many things. I don't know whether you did some review. We looked at an introductory part of it. We looked at column cells, what it all means, what is a sheet, what is a worksheet. We saw that a workbook is a combination of many sheets, and how do you do file naming. We looked at the different types of the cursor. There is this thick white cross where we said that it is always the normal, like you see it is always the normal. Then we said when you select your data, there is that cross that is black thick, which appears at the end of the bottom right of the selection, which we called a crosshair. This is it, and this is the bottom, which we call a fill handle. So when you select it and drag, I showed you the purposes of the crosshair, how it works, dragging, incrementing a number, both on the horizontal and vertically downwards. I showed you that you can put a Monday and fill down. It takes you up to Sunday. Then you can put a month, it takes you up to December, even past another year. So we looked at all that. We looked at the simple formulas. We did the summing. Today we shall start with a bit of average, and we see how you can change your data into percentage in case you're required to. Then we did the entering of data or formulas. I showed you how we enter data in a sheet. If you are entering more data, bulk data more than once, which is the same, I showed you how you do that. Maybe I can do a recap to maybe those who don't remember. I showed you that when you're entering data in, let's say these yellow cells, just a moment. So I showed you that when you're entering data in these yellow cells, you select them by pressing a control. You go on selecting one by one. Then after that, you start typing your data. Let's say the data we are typing class. And when you do a control enter on your keyboard, the data is done all through your selections. We looked at that. That is the control enter we looked at. Then we looked at maybe the next thing we are going to look at aligning. So it's where I'm going to explain to you that for numbers, how they are supposed to be aligned. And I think we talked about this. We should have talked about this, where I told you that, actually we talked about it, where I told you that when you have numbers, let's say 20, you have 30, but noted as a text, you have 56, and you have 46. When you look at these numbers, 30 and 46, they are not numbers, they are text. Though you'll see 30 and 46, but Excel does not see them as 30 and 46, it sees them as text. So when you select your data, here you see the sum doesn't give you what it is meant to give. It is only adding 56 and 20, giving you 76, instead of plus 30 and this, which should have been 76 also, which should have given 152. So we said what you do is just click on this and click on the balloon and say convert to numbers. We did that together. Then after that, when you select now, you see that now it is 152. So we looked at that. Here we are going to look at if you wanted to select the whole table, but these are just shortcuts. So selecting a whole table means, like, if you wanted to select the whole of this table and you wanted to format it, let's say you want to select the whole of this and you want to give it a color. That's what we are going to look at today, how you can organize and format your tables. So selecting the whole of this and giving it maybe a background color like that, or let's say orange. That one is simple, but they tell us that there is an option that you can do, which we are going to look at. Let's start from the borders. Actually, we also did borders. I showed you that when you select the whole of this data, when you select the whole of your data, then you go to borders, then you go to all borders. It always selects everything and gives it a border. So when we go back and we say none, you'll see that there are no borders, all the borders disappear. So we put borders such that we can easily read your data clearly. Even if it was someone else, they can see where the demarcations end. So here it is, you click on this part where there are borders, then you look for exactly what you want. So this time we want all borders, and that's where you see every cell is bordered, all sides, all the 4 sides, bottom, top, on the right and on the left. Then the font color, that one I've shown you. There is a difference between a font color and background color. So when you look at July and August, they're all having a font color of black because they're all black. When I change this to red, this one, this icon, when you hover your mouse there, it will always tell you what it is. You see, it is showing me that that is a font color. Then when I hover here, it shows me that this one is a fill color. So there is a difference between a fill color and a font color. So when you look at this data, it has a fill color of orange or yellow, something like that. But when you look at this header, it has a fill color of blue and it has a font color of white. That's what it means. So how do you change the fill color and the font colors? Font colors, you just select your data. Let's say I will select my whole data. Then I go to font. You click on that arrow downward, then you choose the color you want to give. If I choose green, and this will be green. So now we call this one a font color. Now, what does a fill color mean? A fill color means you come to fill color and you choose a fill color, let's say red, or red is too shouting. So I can choose orange. So which means this data of ours is having a fill color of orange and it has a font color of green. So in case you will reach any interview panel and they say, arrange your headers with a fill color of this orange and a font color of this, you know now the difference between fill and font. So I will undo this to take them back to default. Then now we are going to formulas. I'm going to do just a recap on the formulas such that we understand exactly what we are talking about, what we did last time. So I'm going to do something again about formulas so you can understand what we mean. Last time I told you that, you see now, like taking these to be names, that is marks, and maybe the other names I may not read, but the purpose is not reading the names. The purpose is saying what we are meant to do. So we want to get the averages. Here you see that is we want to get the averages as our computation here. And here we shall get the grades. The grades, we shall get them in percentage. Now, how do we get average? So we shall start with average. The next thing, we shall do sum. Now, how do we get average? You do equals to, you start typing the function average. So the moment you're still typing, what you're seeing here, they are directing you that exactly what you're typing does this. So when I move down my arrows, it explains every function what it means. So even if you don't know what it meant, you can always read through. Excel will always give you that screen hint. They call it a screen hint or a screen reader. Here it is. You see, when you're typing the word average, they will always give you that hint. Here they say that built-in functions like sum and average can make calculations for us. Yes. So you start with always equals, then you start typing. So the moment you start typing, the first few letters of your function name will drop down. So the moment you type average, even if you don't finish it, all the functions that you start that has the item AVER, they will come. You see this one, average, average A, average if, average ifs, the average. So, but at the end of the day, for us, we only want one. So you either select it and click it because it is what you want, or you finish typing. So after finishing typing, then you can either press a tab. There is that tab button I showed you on your keyboard. If you don't use it, The moment you see that what you want is the one that is selected, even if you don't finish typing, you press a tab button on your keyboard, it is going to select that function. You see, it does the selection. Then you go ahead with the selecting the whole range. So that's what we do here. So as we start typing average, you see that the average we need is already the one selected. If you needed it and it is not the one, you can use the arrow buttons on your keyboard. The arrow buttons on the right, at the left, on the right bottom on your keyboard, there are those arrows up, down, left, and right. So you can scroll to look for exactly what you need. So we need that average, you press the tab button. It will select that function you need and open the brackets for you. Now here it is telling you, put the numbers. If you want to put one by one, then you'll put, then comma, you put, comma, you put, comma, as how I told you last time. But we don't want to do one by one, since we want to do the whole range from the first to the last. You only do this when you're going to skip some. Like now I've put before, then I skip to this one, which means I've skipped 16 and 20, then comma, maybe I skip this and go to this. There you're okay, you can use that method. But at the moment you're not going to use that method, this is what we do. So after opening the brackets of the average, you drag this one down. You select the first one, hold your mouse and drag downwards up to the end of the range. Then when you have reached the end of the range, you close the bracket. How do we close the bracket? By holding shift, then that button that has a bracket. So it will close the bracket, then I enter, it gives me the average of all this. And how do we get average? You all know that average equals to always the sum divided by the number of items. We all know that. So when you get the sum divided by the number of items, this is the answer you should get. So can we try it out? Let's see. If we get the sum, tab, and drag this all, close bracket, then divide by, how many are they? They are 8. So when you divide by 8, you get the same answer. So, but the person who has done this has done a lot of things by putting sum equals to this, and there are a lot of things. That's why we have the average function directly in Excel. So last time I told you that the moment you have got the first one, you don't have to calculate the second, the third, the fourth. What do? You click on your answer, you look for the fill hand, which is this other corner. The moment you get that black, the one we called angry rabbit, I don't know whether you remember, we called it crosshair or angry rabbit. Then you drag to the right until your data is covered. And the moment you click here, you'll find that the formula has created by itself automatically. When you click there and you click in the formula bar, it will show you the selection that, by the way, this time we averaged this, quiz 3. Then when you go to the other, it will show you that test 1 is what we have averaged because it is the one which is selected. So that's how we get average. Last time I showed you how you get sum, which is the same thing, nearly the same thing. Now, that is one way of putting the formula directly. Then I'm going to show you another way. I'm deleting this. If there is any question, please unmute and ask. When you don't unmute and ask, we shall think like you're following. But still, remember, we'll share the video, the recording. You can play it at any time for review. So I will delete this and I show you the next option, how we do the average. So the moment you have clicked where the answer you want your answer to go of average, you make sure that home here is the one that is selected. Then you look for the tab or the portion that is having editing. So there is this sum, auto sum. where we have an arrow. When you click that down arrow, you find there is a shortcut of putting sum, there is a shortcut of putting average, there is a shortcut of putting count numbers, maximum, minimum, and all the other functions. This time we need average, so you'll click on average. You see, it automatically picks and senses that you want to average from here up to the last. That is the shortcut way how you can do it. So the moment you enter, it brings you the answer. So you go ahead and drag this one to the right and you're done. So there are two options to do that. I repeat it. You click where your answer you want to, your answers or the averages to be, the cell. Make sure that home is selected. You look for where there is editing tab, which is this, the subsection. Then you look for auto sum, but we don't need the auto sum, we need the average. So I'll click on average, it will pick automatically and highlight for me the range automatically and enter. But you must make sure that there is no blank row before where you're going to put the answer. Let me imagine if I'm putting here the answer, will it do the same? So the moment I click on average, it will select and even select the blank cell. So make sure always that there is no blank cell. You do immediately after your table or after your numbers. So this is it, average, enter. It will give me the answer to the average. Then I scroll it to the right. So that's how we get the averages. Maybe if there is anyone who needs to ask a question, please ask. You can also go ahead and get the maximum. So I'll remove this. This time we are going to calculate the maximum. How do we get the maximum here? How do you know that this is the maximum in this range? Do you look at them keenly and pick out the maximum? Yes, you can do that when they are small, they are few, because the maximum here we have is 20, though they are appearing twice, but still it stands to be the maximum. But imagine if you have like 10,000 rows downwards. Are you going to scroll looking for the maximum? No, there is a function to do that. So beginning with the first option, still you do equals max. You press tab to open the bracket, then you drag your whole range, then enter. It will tell you what the maximum is. Then when you drag to the right, it will keep picking for you maximums. So, sorry, this one was total by the way. It is not part of that. Here we have quiz, here we have tests, and this was total, should have been in a different color. So I can put this in a different color such that it is different from these others we are doing. So now here we get the maximum. Still, you can do the same if you want minimum, minimums. So you can also put here equals. This time we want minimum, open tab, then select the whole of this, enter. So the moment you drag this to the right, it will give you only minimum values. So it looks into that data, then it brings back the minimum. So even if the minimum appears more than once, for it to bring you, yes, it is appearing more than once, but it is the smallest. So it will bring it back to you. So there are many functions. The simplest functions we can start with, they are these. So when you come here, there is average, there is count numbers. So you can also put counting. So if I want counts, so I will do equals to count. So the moment I do count, there is a first count which says it counts numbers in a cell. Then there is count A. This one, it counts numbers and alphabet. So it will count a number and alphabet. So even if there is a name, it will also count it. Then there is the next, which is count blanks. It will always count blanks. Let's say if I select this, I tab, let's say I'm counting blanks, and I select the whole of this and enter. It will tell me that, by the way, you don't have blanks in your data. But let me take an example, remove this. It will show me that you have one blank. When I remove another one, it will show me you have two blanks. So that is the function in Excel that does the count of blanks. So anything you need, there is a function for it. So it is always about practice. So there is count if, maybe I'll not talk about this one in detail. we shall look at it. Like you say, count if the number is less than 20, it will count. Actually, we can do it here. So count if, you select the range and you put a comma, you put the criteria. This one is greater than, let's say, 19. Sorry, is greater than 19. So the moment I enter, the moment I enter, it will count for us how many numbers are greater than 19. So the numbers that are greater than 19, it is 20 and 20. So if I change this sign to less than, it will give me 3, because the numbers that are less than 19 is 1, 2, 3, 15. So they are these 3. They are the numbers that are less than 19. So when you put a formula like that, it does the count the way how you need it. So, but this is count if this range, the number is less than 19. But we put that in quotes, because Excel has to look at it as if it is in quotes as one thing. So those are the simplest formulas you can find in Excel for now. So please go ahead and practice. I know some of you have been doing this. Some of you may have found them for the first time, or you have been using them, not knowing how exactly they are explained, but now you know. Go ahead and use them. So let's again recap on the sum. I told you on the sum, there is an option of auto sum, which is this. So it selects everything. Then when you drag to the right, it gives you that total. So, and when you continue, it will total also the totals and give you the grand total. So the grand total here is 2,458, which means if I select from here up to there, the answer is 2,458. If I select from here up to here, the answer is 2,458. So this one becomes the grand total from both sides. So it becomes a grand total from the left, and it is a grand total from the right, because here they are totaling rows to get this total. And here you are totaling columns to get this total. So which means here when you total like this, you are getting the total of all the students for quiz 1 when you total like this. But when you total like this, you are getting the totals of all the quiz and the test for one student, for all of them for one student. So this is per student and this is per quiz or test. So if you need to do that, then you are available. Now this becomes the grand total, either the grand total of all the tests or the grand total of all the students. That's how you get it. Now, let's see, how do you give them percentages? How do you give percentage of maybe what a student has got? So we assume that this is the total grand total. So in this grand total, this one has a percentage of how much out of this grand total. Out of the second, this is, let me use the names we can clearly read. Like, let's say Simon is having 289, but 289 is a percentage of what regarding to this total. That's what we are going to see. Now, I don't know whether if I can ask if there is any one of you who knows how we get percentages. How do we get percentages? You can unmute and tell me. You can unmute and tell me if you're able. Okay. I take it maybe you're still struggling to unmute, or is anyone I can unmute and you tell us what the grand total is? How do we get the percentage? Okay, it's fine. I can go ahead and show you how we get the percentages. So how do we get the percentage? We know the percentage from the layman language. It is always the number divided by the total. That's how we get the percentage. So number divided by the total, you get a percentage. Number divided by the total, you get a percentage. Now, Now, there is something I want you to be keen of, and this is when we go back to our notes, that's what I want you to look at. So I've seen all this. You can read through those notes. I sent them on WhatsApp. Download and read through it just on your phone. So it explains a lot. This is a formula bar where we do the editing from. And here they're telling you that B10, that is B10. It shows the formula result, the formula, that is the result we get. We have seen that. So I've shown you how we put a formula. And in math, the operator slash is what we use for dividing, and we use a star for multiplication. So never do something like this. If you are doing 4 times 2, never say equals to 4, then you do an x times 2. This one will never give you the answer. But Excel tells you that, anyway, I want to show you that error, because Excel knows that you may have meant, let's say 2 times 6, but I've used an X for that. When I enter, Excel tells you, we found a typo in your formula and tried to correct it. 2 equals to 2 times 6 by putting a star. So do you want to replace this correction? I will say yes, because I didn't know that Excel uses a star instead of X. So when I say yes, it will help me and multiply it. And when I check that formula by pressing F2, you'll see the formula is 2, then star, then 6. Maybe I can enlarge this for many of us to see. I enlarge this. Okay. So when you look at this, that a star is being replaced with an X. So in Excel, we use a star for times. Then when you want 12 divided by 3, you use a slash. Divide by 3, you get a 4. So we use a slash instead of the divide sign or symbol, which we don't have on the keyboard, by the way. Then with a plus, we have it. That is, if you say equals to maybe 23 plus, but anything on the keyboard that is on top, you do shift that key. So if you want to add this one with 2, then I will say that it gives us 25. Okay, now what is next? We are looking for percentage. So we are looking for percentage. Jovan, you'll be taking for me the attendance of everyone that joins. We just need that list to compile every session who has joined and who didn't join. Okay, now how do we get percentage? We have said, but percentage is equal to the number divided by the total, not so. So the moment you put that and do enter, it will give you the number in, it gives you the number in decimals. So when you want percentage, you just have to come in the so when you need to change this to percentage, you go to home, you go to numbers, you see this percentage sign, you click this, it will change that in percentage. So if you want to add decimals, you can always use this reduce or increase. So if I want to increase, I'll add 1 decimal, add 2 decimals. If you wanted to look at 14.5%. Then, now the challenge comes that if I drag this downward, like how we had said before, at some point we are getting errors. And now we want to ask ourselves, why are we getting errors? Someone is not mute, and I think it's the person who has just joined. I don't know who is in taking of pop. I will mute you. Then even Joshua, I'm muting you all. Okay, it is now okay. I've muted everyone. Now, we tried to use the other technique before of dragging down. Let me show you the formula. The formula was equal to, I can put this in a bright color such that you see it when it is selected. So When I want to add my formula, it shows me that I got H2, I divided by H10, which is H10 is here selected red. Then that was okay for the first one. Now, when I moved to the second, you see, because I dragged it down, this formula went to H3, which is this, Simon, it is okay. But even the H10 increased to H11, which I don't want. I want it to stay at H10 because this total of ours is not moving. As we move downwards, the total remains the same. Now, how do we lock that? This is what we call absolute reference. So when you're reading your notes, here they will tell us that relative cell reference is that will move throughout the copy action. So which means when you drag down and the cell is moving, that is a relative cell reference. Yes, because I want the individual totals to move down as I move down like this. You see this one changes to H3. Yes, that's one I wanted it. When you go to the third, it changes to the third, that is H4. I want that to keep increasing like that. That one is called relative cell reference. But now there is the other one I don't want to move, which we shall call absolute cell reference. Do not move as you copy the formula downwards. So I don't want the total to move. Sorry, undo. I don't want this total to move. I want this total to stay H10. In every cell I go to, I want this to stay H10. Like this, I think you understand. But now it is changing as I'm moving down. So that's what I never wanted, so I will remove this. Now, how do we fix this such that it should not change again? This is what we do. To make this one an absolute reference, we have to lock the column that is H, such that we can never leave H. Then we have also to lock the cell row, which means the row is 10. I don't want to leave row 10, so I want to stay in H10. How do we lock it? We lock it by putting $signs in front of it. So locking this one, you put a $sign in front of the column, you put a $sign in front of the row. So how do we put the $sign? There are two things. You can type the $sign by putting Shift-4, you put a $sign, you come here, you put a $sign. Then another option is, so let me first show you. When you enter, which means now we have locked H10 to always remain like that. So when I scroll to the second, this time you see that H10 has not changed, but the H3 has changed. So when I drag down, you'll check that this has changed now to H4, which is okay, and this still remains to H10, which I want. That's what we call locking a cell, and we call it absolute cell reference. So which means now I have the liberty of dragging up to the last like this. So when you drag, even when you reach the last, you'll see it changed up to H9, but the H10 remained intact. So when I drag this one, it should give us 100 because it is looking at both 100, you see, H10 and H10 divided by H10, which is giving us 100, and of which you all know that the total percentage should always be equal to 100. I'm going to repeat that. I know some people may be puzzled why they have locked. Now here we read the notes. In the notes, they tell us that absolute means that you copy the formula, the cell reference is locked. How do we lock the cell reference? For example, this formula I have already shown you. No matter where you copy the formula will always look at H2 because here H2 is locked. You see, H2 is locked with a $sign and a $sign for the row. $sign for the column, $sign for the row. And they say, when your cursor is touching a cell reference, you can always hit the F4 button. It will give you that locking. Now, I repeat everything. Let's say we assume here we have not yet locked. We remove the dollars. How do we look? They say that instead of typing the dollars, you can click in that cell reference you want to look, that is H10. Then you press the F4 button on your keyboard. So when I press the F4 button, you see that dollars put themselves automatically. So the moment they put themselves automatically, I enter. Remember, I told you for the first time, this one will give you in numbers. Sorry, it will always be in numbers like this. So for you to change this, because if I drag down, you see all of them will be numbers 0.14, 0. This, 0. This. So for me to change this, select them, come here, select this $sign, and it will change everything. Sorry, the percentage sign, and it will change everything to percentage. So if I want like 1 decimal place, you come here and increase the decimal place. If you want to decrease, you decrease from here. So there is increase here and there is decrease here. Depending on how many decimals you want, that's when you can always do that. So which means when you say equals to sum the whole of this, like this auto sum, sorry. When you do the auto sum of this, like you do auto sum, it will always give you 100, because we know that the percentage, that's where you know that I'm correct. But if you get like 101, you know that you're wrong somewhere. So that's how we get our grading. Now here you can tell who is the first, who is the second, who is the third, by just looking at the percentages. Or you can reduce this, reduce the cell, the decimals, and you look at this, that this one is the first, then the 13s are all second, then since they are 4, then we have second, third, fourth, fifth, then this one becomes number 6, then the other one becomes number 7. So that ranking, we shall do it at some point, not now, because that is some other formula. So that is how, guys, we put our data in percentages, or if you want to grade in percentages. Here now, in the notes, they say that a $sign locks the column and the row reference. That's why we put a $sign both in front of a column H and both in front of a row 10. Because why are we doing this? Because the H10 is our total we are referencing at. So even if I copy this formula here, and I took it somewhere, you'll see it is giving me 0. Why? Let's check why. When you check that cell reference, you see that it is now copying J2. Because J2 was not locked, that's why it has moved to the left. But because this one was locked, still it remains pointing the same total. So that is what we call absolute cell reference. Any question, guys, before we move to something else? I know I may be on a high speed, but you can always tell me to pause. Okay. Arrow keys to put cell reference into our formula can be faster. That's why they are telling you that you can use the arrow keys instead of a mouse, but it is all up to you which one you can move best faster. Now, the beauty of Excel, when the formula inputs are changed, everything updates in the workbook. Now, this is what they say. The moment you're using formulas in your Excel, when you change anything, it updates automatically. Let me change that. No, we go back, maybe we say, this Tron, I didn't get 81 in test 2. Actually, he got 30. So the moment I enter 30, everything changes automatically. And even all the percentages change because we updated Tron's figure. If we say no, Tron got here 10. So when you enter, you'll see now Tron has reduced up to 80%. And the other one has increased to 16. So you see that everything changes dynamically because you're using formulas. By the moment you're not using formulas, you're going to do everything manually the moment you have a change. So that is it, guys, for grading. Now, we are going to number formats. If you allow me that, we are okay with that. Now, we are going to number formats. We look at how we format numbers. Now, number format, I've already shown you the first number format is percentage. But here, this is where we find number formats. There is always a small box under the home tab. that the section is called numbers. And that numbers, there is an arrow here. There is an arrow here pointing downwards, meaning that there are more options inside there. So the moment we click it, it will open for us another dialog box, giving us more options. So you can change these formats, number formats, the way how you like. So let me see, we can change this to fractions. And you say up to this, and you say, okay, you see they change to fractions, 1/6, 1/8, 1/7, 1/8. This is a 0, this is 1/7. You understand? Because we have changed them to fractions from percentage. Then we can change this in time. So when we do this, you see it changes to time. This was 3:43 minutes and 21 seconds. In case your number was looking at time, not percentage, that's how it looks like. But these are not percentage, these are not hours, it is not time, they are just numbers, we are getting the grade. So I will do, then a shortcut of clicking here, going to this point and clicking here, the shortcut is Control-1. When you press your button on your keyboard, that is the control button, then you add 1, you press the 1 button, you get directly this box. I'm going to do it on my side. It is Control-1, then it opens directly that dialog box. So when you learn, you have to make sure that at some point, at least you know some shortcuts in Excel. They increase your productivity. You spend less time looking for things. So if I know Control-1 brings me format cells, automatically I'm there. So a Control-1 selects brings you the format numbers dialog box. So I will do Control-1. Sorry, Control-1. It will bring it. These were my percentages. Then I will take them back to percentage. Then I will set the small places I want 1, and I will do OK. It will take them back to percentage. So that's where we find the number formats. Now, there are other number formats you can get. You can look into this. This is now accounting if you want to add the Uganda shilling on your numbers. Let's say this was money, not so. And we want to add the Uganda shilling so that to show that the currency here is Uganda shilling. I'll click here, then this time come on accounting, then select here on the symbols and look for the USH, Uganda shilling. Then when I do OK, it will add the Uganda shilling. So even if I deleted this and I put another number, remember this was a formula, it has to calculate automatically. But even if I put 2,567, so the moment I enter, it puts the Uganda shilling automatically. So that is the beauty when you have formatted your numbers right. So I will take this back. This was actually computed. I will take it back. It was like this. Then I will take this back to numbers by either clicking here, then you click numbers, or by clicking here and you select numbers and you put numbers. Let's say this number, decimal 00, and the separator. When you click on this, when they are over 1,000, they put that separator, a comma. So I will do OK. It will put them to numbers. Now, if I want to put here a comma, I do Control-1. I bring back the other box. I go to numbers. Then I click on that. Then I click here on use separator every after 1,000. So when I click and do OK, it puts the comma. So you can always get frustrated. Why are my numbers not putting a comma? Like you can write huge numbers like millions. Let's say 2.that million. And you can hardly tell this is a million note until you put separators. Let's say you have many of these. Okay, downwards. So you have many of these. Imagine you're looking at this data and you don't know whether this is a million, whether the other one is not. So let me assume that it is like this. So you can't tell whether this and this, which one is greater than the other. By the moment you select this data, Control-1, or you click here, then you go to numbers, then you put a separator and you do OK. It will put numbers. I told you when it brings hash, you come here and increase the column size. So when they are separators, you automatically tell this is a million, this is in 2000, these are thousands, 297,000, this is 2,000,000, 897,000, like that. So that's how we do formats. Still the same thing, I'm still on that, showing you more formats. Now, another format is currency I've shown you, accounting I've shown you. You can even choose here dollar, Uganda, English, Australia. A dollar in China is different from a dollar in Singapore, but the symbol is the same. So if I want a dollar, I can choose a dollar here and do okay. It will put dollars. So if you are computing a report in dollars, then you can show dollars, which means if I found this, I don't have to take this to be Uganda shillings because this is already in dollars. So you'll find that $360, it is so much money. This is around, let me say it is around like 1.4. It is around like 1.6, yeah. So this is too much money, but if it is in UGX, which means if it is in UGX, if I have this and I put this in UGX, so it picks now a different information, which means if you forgot dollars and put UGX in accounting, that is a big blunder you have done. So that is always important when you're putting formatting. Then I've shown you fractions. Then there is also putting in scientific, like 4 exponential 0.2. I will not go details in that, but you can do it. Then there is changing it at text, but this is not text, it is numbers. There are those special ones where you'll have to choose for the country where this is coming from, but we rarely use that. Then there is custom. So custom also, we shall come at point and we are looking at how you can use custom. But for now, know that it exists. But these ones are the default ones. Now, when we finish numbers, then we go to alignment. So you can align your data. Let me take back this to numbers by clicking here, numbers again. Now you can align this data the way how you want. I know some of you ask yourself that sometimes I see headings pointing up, headings at an angle, and you ask yourself how people do that magic. It is not magic. So what do? Control-1 will bring back our box. Now we want to align. We want to put this heading in a certain angle that it is pointing up like at a certain angle. How do you do that? You manage all that from here. Or you manage from the angles here. Let's say if I want to put my text at that angle, you can drag, or if you know the angle you want to put as 45, you can just do the 45. Then when you do okay, you see your text goes in that format. So that is a format you can do yourself. So sometimes you may have too much columns and you want to reduce them, like the angle should be in that way. You see now here, it gives me leverage to even shorten the table. But when it was in the other format, it was hard for me to shorten this table because the headers already are long. You see, it just stops there. So when I do this, Control-1, go on alignment, you can always change that angle. You can even change it face down. You can change it to face down like this. So when I do like that, you see quiz 1, quiz 2, if you want to read it that way. Someone else can say, for me, I can choose the angle to be that way, and the words read from bottom to up or from up to bottom. So it is up to you. The angle you put matters, but always by default, it is at that, because we always type our things at 0 degrees angle. So that is the direction. So here I see the context left to right, right to left, but all this comes when you change this, it changes the context. Now let's see, we always read things left to right. Let me see right to left. So that is it. It goes to right to left. And left to right also should be giving the same thing because they are not at any angle. But then you can do matching cells. Let's say if you want this header of grading to cover these 3 columns, here there are options. So you can either use this merge and center, you see it will merge and cover all the 3 columns, or and do this and Control-1, or you can merge, come here and say merge cells, it will merge the cells. So these cells are already merged. Then when you merge, then you come and center, then it centers. So when you click there, you see it selects I, J, and K. So that is the merge and center. So the other option, there is merging across, it merges but doesn't center. So you have to center manually again. But when you do merge and center directly, it does the merge and center at once. So when you click it again, it removes the merge and center. Then there is merge cells, till it merges the cells but doesn't center. If you want center, you do this. If you want left, you do this. If you want right, you can just play with all these things. So going back on alignment, we have seen all what it means. Play with your keyboard, with your mouse, have practice. That's when you understand these things better. Then we go on font. You can change the font here. You can change the font type. You can change this in italics. You can change its size. You can go ahead and strike through. Strike through is like canceling something, you see. I know you can be doing auditing and you want to cancel out these things, but you don't want to delete them, but you want to strike them through. So you can select them, come here on formatting, go on alignment, then you strike through. Sorry, go on font, then you strike through like this, strike through, it will strike through, and you see, it cancels 15, but it is there. Rather than deleting it and someone doesn't know what I'm striking through. So sometimes you may want to do audit and you're canceling out some people, but you want those people to know what you have canceled out. So you can always use the strike through. It helps you that the data remains there, but you have canceled it. Even it remains totaling, but you have shown the person that this is wrong. So you can even change its color to red, such that it picks like, yeah, they strike through and it changes to red automatically. So you can do this and do again, and do again, and do. So this is it. Any other question, please, guys? I need you to ask as many questions as you can. Unmute and ask any question, or put it on chat. I have my host, my co-host Jovan can maybe tell me when there is a question. So don't fear to ask anything. I like questions because it engages, and maybe even if I've forgotten out something, I can always come back. Then I want to show you, if you wanted to put 2 power 2, let's say you wanted to put a power on a number, you may ask yourself, how do we do it in Excel? Let's say I want to put a 2, then I put, sorry, I'll change this to number. I think I've shown you now, you change this to number, I don't want it currency. You come on number and say, I want this number and that. And I don't want the small place, you reduce them. Now, if I wanted this to be 2 power 2, how do I change this? So that is a question to ask ourselves. So we have already seen that when you go to font, there is what we call superscript and underscript. So when you click on superscript, you see what it happens. The other example goes on top. When you click on underscript, it goes down. Now, when you select this 2, the next 2, let me make this 6. I want to make 6 power 2. How do I do it? I will select this 2. Then, no, sorry. Okay, I'll do, this is a 6. I'll put the numbers here, put the superscripts here. So if I want to do this 5 power 2 maybe, or you want to put this on top, you just click here, then you use a superscript here on font. So when you say superscript, okay, this 2 always goes on top. So if I reduce this like this, and I reduce this one, it clearly shows me that this 2 has been put on top. Then those people who have done chemistry, like you want to write CHO2, and it is always H, and the 2 is in the middle. I'll put a 2 here, and I will put an O here. But I want to make this in a way that this 2 is at the bottom, such that it can depict out exactly what I'm depicting. So what you do here, you go on the number function format cell, then you say this is a subscript. Then when you do OK, it goes down. So it becomes easy, like someone can read it as HO2. Okay, that is it. At any time you can feel free to unmute. Feel free to unmute, ask any question. So far we have gone 1 hour. You see how time is running. So I know I don't want to push you hard. We shall be finishing up this, but we should have finished this long time ago. But still, I need you to understand each and everything. Now, that is all about the number formatting. Please get your mouse, go in Excel, practice all this stuff. It is practice that makes perfect. So then when we come to page layout, I'm just going to show you a few of the things. Now, page layout here is in page setup. So when they tell you to open page setup, which is on page layout. So when you're printing, sometimes it becomes challenging. Like you want to print this table and you want to put it on a paper, you can delete all this stuff. And you want to put this on a paper, but in a landscape mode. So you can always select your data, come on page layout. So this is in landscape. Then when you do portrait, it has to change this to portrait. It has changed, though you may not see it, but you can only see this when you start printing out. So I take this back to landscape. So always you will be looking at it as if it has not changed, but all the changes come in when you're going to start printing. So you can even go on the sizing, you change this, but all this is when you're going to print out. You can also do set out the print area. So when you select set print area, it has to align marks that when you print, this is where the page will break from. There are those page breaks. You can insert a page break, then it will show you where a page ends and where a page starts from. So if I select this and I say insert page breaks, it has inserted, though we may not see, but the moment we do print or Control P, it's when it shows you that the page was ending at test 2. So it is here at test 2 where the page is ending. So all that bit comes on printing, though in the daily computation, it may not be so much required, but at printing, it's where you'll have to do this. So if I say Control P, or when you come on print, when you click on print, where is print? Control P, sorry. Okay. So when I do print, you see that because already my page is clipped out to show which pages I'm on. So I can always select here that I'm printing everything I've selected. So you come and say I'm printing selection. So it will only bring exactly what you have printed. Sorry, you have selected out. And remember what put in Excel, you can put in portrait. Now it's where you see the changes. Now you see the page now changes in that format. The other time when you do here portrait, landscape, it changes and prints on the paper in a landscape mode. So this is it. I don't know whether there is any question, guys. Any question? Okay, back to our notes. How do you put a footer and a header? You all know when we always print out a document, you find that it has the same wordings on every page. When they are at the bottom, that is a footer. When they are at the top, that is a header. So here they say, header 3 section, you're going to preview built-in custom. And so when you select this, you go on set print page layout, print section and set print area. You'll excuse my side, it is hanging out. Sorry, it's hanging out. Any question, guys? Okay. Now here they are showing us how we move a sheet. So if you have more than one sheet, like I do here, I can change this sheet to this. So I have 3 sheets, 4 actually. Fourth, I can maybe put here fourth. I have 3 sheets. I've named one working, another one we do, fourth. Now, if I want to change the 4th sheet to go at the beginning, how do we do that? You just drag it, you are holding your mouse and take it in at the beginning, or you drag this one, take it at the end. It doesn't change anything, you're just reordering, changing the order. And that's what they are telling here. They are telling us here in the notes that when you are to move, right click, move copy. It's here. Moving a sheet, right click, move or copy. So then another option, the option they are talking about is when you want to move this, you can, when you right click on it and say move, when it brings that box, you can choose where to move it. Though the other time we use the shortcut. If we choose where to move it at the beginning, we just say, okay, it will move it at the beginning. But the simplest way is dragging and taking it anywhere you want. Then if you want to duplicate this, you just right click, you say move. This time you select the word copy and you say, I want to put the copy at the end. So the moment you do okay, it will create another copy. So this is working 2, this was working 1, but having the same data. So that's when you want to duplicate. Let's say you have closed a month for working and you want to open another month for working. You just right click, you just say move or copy, and you click on that, you select or you check the create a copy. It will create another copy. Let's create another copy for we. So when I right click, move, this time I select copy, I say put it at the end, and it will put it here as we2, the other one is the first we. Why is it adding that 2? It is adding that 2 because we can't have duplicate names of the same name of sheets. That's why a 2 is added on the third. So the moment I duplicate this again, like put at the end copy, it will call it we3 because it is the third. So even if I try to change this to we and enter, Excel will tell you that the name is already taken. Try a different name. That's why for it, when it does the renaming, it keeps putting for you a 3. So that is it, guys. I will delete this again. Delete this. So is there any question as we wind up? Then I've shown you how you do a copy of a sheet. You right click, you check the copy and it will copy it and add another one. Then the shortcut of that, of creating another copy, let's say fourth, what you do, the shortcut is press a control downwards, then you drag this sheet You see now it has changed the symbol. You see a plus on the mouse that are moving. It means that it is going to add another sheet that is of the same thing. So you see there is fourth one and fourth two. That is a shortcut. I repeat this again. You hold a control. Let's say this is the sheet we want to duplicate. Okay, this is working. Let's say this was January and we want to create February. So you press a control, drag this and move at the end, release. When you're still pressing a control, even now I'm still pressing a control, then release a control after you've duplicated it. Then double click in this, rename it as Feb. So if I want another one, control, drag, put here, because of that plus, you see, document plus. When you release, it creates another one, then you can call this March. So that's how you can put more months. Like you have a sheet, a template you're using, and you want to create more sheets. The month has ended, you want to create another sheet. I know last time, Gertrude called me and we did that together. She was adjusting from Feb to March. I know she knows better how we did that. And this is exactly what we did. So you can either right click, you say move, then you say, I want to move it at the end, then you click on create copy, then you click OK to create a copy here. Then you come and edit this copy to, let's say April. And you remove the data for maybe Feb and put the data for April. So that's how you do it. So you'll find that all these sheets are the same, but they are different months. So that's how we do. So if you want to create a new sheet that is blank, I told you, just click here, it creates a new sheet. But when you want to duplicate what you already have, that's how we do it. Either you right click, move, create a copy, or use the other option of pressing a control, moving at the end, release, it will create another sheet, mark it, May. So that's how you can always do your report every end of month. Even if you're doing day per day, let's say today, this one has been 11th.03.2022. Then tomorrow I want another copy of this. I just press a control, drag this and move, release. Then I edit this, remove the 2 because Excel will put a 2. Then you come and change now the 11th to 12th. And I'm on another day. Remove the date for the data for, but don't tamper with the formulas because we need the formulas to remain. Remove the data that you input. Then you remain now to input data for 12. Let's say someone has gone in the field to sell beer. Maybe on one station they have sold 12. This one they have sold 34. Here they have sold maybe 56. Here they have sold 3. This is another day. And you see that when you leave the formulas there, it is automatically, it keeps updating itself. If I put Simon here sold 23, you see, the totals update themselves. Abid here has sold 12. The data updates itself, both the totals and the sum, because I didn't tamper with the formulas. That's the beauty of formulas. Okay, I see we have remained 6 people. I know some people have dropped off, but it may be data because we are going in 1 hour and some minutes. But this is it. I'm requesting you to ask questions. But you have a list of this. You have these notes. You can go ahead and read through the notes. Then at the end, there are keyboard shortcuts. What we have been talking about, all is down. Go read through, practice them. We have talked about all these keyboards, entering data formulas where you press a tab, where you do a control enter, where you do an enter. We have talked about all these. Just go ahead and preview them. If there is any question you have, you'll always put it on the group. So even my co-host has left, Jovan, I see he's no longer on the call. So I don't know whether there is any question. Please unmute and ask. So our session for today will end here. Sorry, on Tuesday we didn't meet because it was a public holiday. But I promise next Tuesday we shall, and let's come in early to the call such that we can cover more than we have been covering. So next time we are going to look at how we create graphs. how you create pie charts, how you create line graphs. Come prepared if you have always waited for such a session. So on Tuesday, we are going to do graphs. So make sure that you are available if you have been having a challenge in creating graphs. If there is no any question, you can go ahead and do the put the chats on WhatsApp. I will communicate. I will be answering. If you're not in position to put them here or to unmute and tell me exactly what you feel like you needed to know more. But for now, this is it. I will go ahead and end the recording.